facts straight. You dated this man stupidly for 16 years. And you got married for 30 days, not even a whole month. And you walk 160 M's? Does that mean he gets back all the cars, the jewelries, the trips, everything that you provided, that he provided? No.
Looks like the #1 stunner, Birdman, is finally spilling the tea, and it's messy. Word on the street is that Birdman's calling out Toni Braxton for being a heartbreaker and a gold digger. According to him, she drained his wallet when the cash was flowing, then bounced the moment things slowed down. And now, she's allegedly creeping back into broke territory. Again. Now, Toni Braxton being broke ain't exactly new. Let's not act brand new. She's had 2 bankruptcies and a track record of blowing money on high-end living. That timeline, it's starting to look real shady. But Birdman speaking out now is flipping the whole story on its head. Folks close to Toni ain't having it, though. They're saying Birdman's just salty and trying to rewrite what really happened. Birdman just bitter and trying to flip the narrative, they say. But people are starting to ask, did Toni really do Birdman dirty? Let's break it all down. The accusations, the money trail, and the wild aftermath, because this could be one of the craziest breakups in R&B history. It's starting to look less like a love story and more like a track off a heartbreak album. Now here's the real shocker. Reports are saying Toni tried to walk off with a jaw-dropping $160 million divorce payout after being married to Birdman for less than a month. Yeah, not even 30 days. And it gets even messier. Word is, she dipped just 2 days after the wedding. Didn't even stick around long enough to act like it was real. Allegedly, she was already packing her bags before the ink was dry. Less than a month after saying "I do," Toni pulled the plug for real, filing for divorce and claiming the marriage was irretrievably broken with zero chance of fixing it. But this is where it goes off the rails, because if that 160 million number is even close to real, this wasn't just a breakup. This was bold on a whole new level. With Toni's past bankruptcies, her taste for the finer things, and a history of money troubles, people are starting to wonder. Was the whole relationship just a setup from the jump? Like, did Miss Unbreak My Heart really marry the #1 stunner just to secure the bag? And the real kicker, how did Birdman not see this coming? This ain't just messy, it's outrageous. The fact that Toni thought she deserved $160 million after just 2 days of marriage had fans absolutely shocked. That's exactly why so many are siding with Birdman now, calling her a straight-up gold digger. Like, how do you dip out that fast and still act like you earned a whole fortune? It's wild. Everyone knows Birdman and Toni officially split in 2019, but things got even messier after that. According to Birdman, Toni started popping back up in 2023, flirting, dropping hints, and making it super obvious she wanted to spin the block. From how he tells it, she was trying to slide back in like none of that drama ever happened. But Birdman said he wasn't falling for it. He had already moved on, wasn't trying to reopen that chapter, and wasn't about to get played twice. But according to Birdman, Toni didn't back down. She kept showing up, hitting him up, and wouldn't let it go. She was persistent, and eventually, those old feelings started creeping back in. One thing led to another, and boom, they were back together. They stayed low-key for about a year, and then finally said "I do" on August 8th, 2020. But here's where it gets crazy. Just 2 days later, Toni filed for divorce. Yup, in court docs filed that September, she listed their official separation date as August 10th, 2020, literally 2 days after the wedding. Fans are still scratching their heads trying to figure out what happened in that wild 48-hour window. And let's be real, it's already looking shady. Nobody's buying that it was just bad timing. This whole situation is screaming setup. And when I tell you the fans are shook over that $160 million demand, I'm not playing. Even 50 Cent jumped in on Instagram, throwing shade and saying, "Now watch, women are gonna say, well, if you held it down for 16 years, you'd want to get paid for it too."
and then you came back.
Yeah. I think it's when I was first diagnosed with having lupus, I was so down, I was so depressed, and the doctors told me I would never be able to work again, your music career's over, but the man upstairs had a whole other plan for me.
Yeah.
But at the time.
But let's be clear, it wasn't even 16 days, not according to Birdman. Word is, Birdman now truly believes Toni was never in it for love, just for the check. And honestly, after hearing all this, it's hard not to see why he's thinking that way. His net worth? Right around $160 million. And Toni? Allegedly trying to cash out on all of it. She didn't even last a full week before serving divorce papers, but sources close to Birdman say he's still heated. And he wants Toni to put some respect on his name. He's been venting behind the scenes, calling her out for playing games, and painting her as a full-blown gold digger. And Birdman's not holding back. He feels straight up played. And guess what? Some insiders are backing him up. Word is, Toni didn't just try to drain him in court. She allegedly took it a step further, and even tried to sell off some of his jewelry when she couldn't get direct access to his cash. That's bold. Now, as messy as this whole thing is, it really shouldn't surprise anyone. Toni's history with money? Not exactly spotless. She was one of the biggest R&B queens of the 90s, raking in serious cash. But somehow, she managed to lose it all. Not once, but twice. Back in 1998, she filed for her first bankruptcy, and it was a huge scandal. People were shocked how someone with platinum hits and packed-out concerts could end up broke. But when it comes to Toni and money, the math ain't never been mathing. People were stunned. How does someone who sold millions of records end up flat broke? But it didn't stop there. By 1999, the financial mess just kept snowballing, and the headlines were brutal. At one point, Toni even sat down with Oprah to try and clear the air. But that move totally backfired. During the interview, Oprah straight up grilled her about her wild spending and questioned the choices that landed her in debt. And instead of owning up to it, Toni crashed out on national TV, flipping the script and accusing Oprah of being too harsh. Brah, she's so freaking mean to me. I was in shock, she said, playing the victim. Oprah didn't hold back either, asking, "Do you take responsibility for the situation you're in right now?" Toni replied, 100%, 100%, 100%.
That $5 million engagement rings from Birdman, honey, just gone, honey. So Toni Braxton is trying to get her engagement ring back. Now, on one of the questions I want to know.
But by then, the damage was already done, and people were not buying it. I couldn't believe it. I loved her so much. I admired her and looked up to her. And she basically reprimanded me, Toni said, talking about that Oprah moment. She made me feel this small. That interview didn't just sting, it changed her whole career. After that, folks started looking at her differently, and not in a good way. Now, Toni did manage to bounce back after her first bankruptcy. For a minute, it looked like she was finally getting her groove back and living that star life again. But the peace didn't last long. In 2010, she filed for bankruptcy again, and this time, it was even uglier. Reports say Toni claimed she owed somewhere between $10 million and $50 million. That's not just a money issue. That's a full-blown financial crisis. She blamed it on her canceled Las Vegas residency, which got shut down after she was diagnosed with a serious heart condition. But that wasn't the only thing going wrong behind the scenes. Behind the scenes, things were spiraling. Insurance issues, nonstop fights over coverage, and a mountain of unpaid taxes stacking up. Since then, Toni's been quietly struggling just to keep her head above water. And the numbers don't lie. Her music ain't hitting like it used to. Her last album? It barely moved 7,000 copies and only peaked at a 163 on the Billboard 200. The one before that? Just around 16,000 copies. For someone who used to run the charts, those are serious red flags waving loud and clear. With album sales crashing, she had to shift her hustle over to Braxton Family Values, the reality show. That became her main money stream. But even that started cooling off. The show's buzz has died down in recent years, and without a hit single or fresh media heat, the financial pressure has clearly been piling up. It's not just a dry spell, it's a slow-motion collapse. Now fans are really starting to question, Was Toni's situation with Birdman ever about love? Or was it just straight up survival? Rumors had already been swirling that she was inches away from filing for bankruptcy again. And then out of nowhere, she popped back up with Birdman after more than 4 years apart. The timing had people looking real sideways. It started feeling like she wasn't chasing Birdman the man, but Birdman the bank account, with the suits, the jewels, and that cheddar. Because let's be real, when they suddenly rekindled things in 2023, it didn't make sense to anybody. Toni had spent years saying it was over for good. She even told fans there was no way they'd ever reunite. "Who do you think I am? Don't you know that he was my man?" she once said. So when she did a complete 180 and started getting close to him again, people were like, wait a minute, something ain't right here. Now that Birdman's out here airing all the dirty laundry, folks are starting to believe the whole relationship was just a setup, a straight-up money move from day one.
Okay, you're engaged.
I'm engaged. He did good, right?
Well, right? Very well. Good.
Even before this latest drama popped off, fans were already side-eyeing the weird tension between Toni and Birdman, especially after that super awkward 2022 interview on Tamron Hall. If you missed it, Toni was there to talk about her lupus diagnosis. It was supposed to be a real, emotional moment. But the second Tamron brought up Birdman's name, the whole energy changed. Toni froze up, looked away, and you could literally feel the air get heavy in that room. She couldn't even fake it. Something was clearly off behind the scenes, and then she hit Tamron with that line. "I'm just not feeling it anymore." That right there told fans everything they needed to know. The love was gone, and something deeper was going on behind those smiles. "And then you came back?" "Yeah, I think it was when I first got diagnosed with lupus. I was down bad, depressed, and doctors told me I'd never work again, that my music career was over. But the man upstairs had a whole other plan for me." Yeah. But let's be real, this whole Toni and Birdman saga has never been easy to follow. They've been off and on since way back in 2016, and even when they were on, the relationship never really made sense to most folks. And let's not forget 2018, when Birdman popped the question with that jaw-dropping $5 million yellow diamond ring. That thing was loud, flashy, and had the whole internet buzzing. People were like, wait, Birdman and Toni, for real? It felt more like a PR stunt than a fairy tale. And ever since then, folks have been trying to figure out what's really going on between the two. It looked like a fairy tale. But then came straight up silence. No wedding, no updates, just rumors and weird vibes floating around. The whole engagement started feeling more like a headline grab than a real love story. Okay, you're engaged. I'm engaged. He did good, right? Right. Very well. But there was no date set. The wedding kept getting delayed, postponed, pushed back again and again. Toni blamed it on timing, but fans weren't buying that for a second. Then came the biggest red flag of them all. Toni supposedly lost the $5 million engagement ring. Yes, $5 million, Mars, and get this. She claimed she accidentally left it on a flight. Like, who just forgets a ring that's worth more than a mansion? Fans were side-eyeing hard after that one. Something definitely wasn't adding up. The bag it was in got returned, but the ring, gone. Poof. Vanished like it never existed. And seriously, how do you just lose a $5 million diamond ring? Now the streets are buzzing, saying Toni didn't lose that ring at all. She allegedly pawned it to pay off her debts. And honestly, that wouldn't shock anybody. Her history with money's been rocky for years, and word is, she was desperate for cash at the time. So, what'd she do? Allegedly sold off the most valuable thing she had in her possession, that flashy $5 million engagement rock. At first, Birdman didn't trip. He actually believed the story and even played it cool in an interview, brushing it off like it was no big deal. But if these rumors turn out to be true, that calm attitude probably didn't last long. Behind the scenes, it's looking more and more like trust was shattered, and that missing ring might have been the final straw. Birdman found out the truth, and that's when everything really started to fall apart. Turns out, the ring wasn't lost at all. Once he realized Toni allegedly sold it behind his back, that was the beginning of the end. They tried to patch things up, but the damage was already done. The engagement was off. And not long after, the whole relationship came crashing down. Now here we are, years later, and Toni's back on what looks like the same money moves. But this time, Birdman's not falling for it. From the outside, it looks like he finally peeped the pattern, and he's not about to let history play him twice. When you line up the missing $5 million ring, back-to-back bankruptcies, and that insane $160 million divorce demand after just 2 days of marriage, it's giving ruthless. Birdman might have been blinded by love at first, but now, he's calling it like it is, and he's not sugarcoating anything. If these latest rumors are real, then Toni might have just fumbled the biggest bag she ever had. She chased it hard. But now that the truth's spilling out, the real question is, how deep does this really go? Birdman found out the truth, and that's when everything really hit the fan. The ring wasn't lost after all. Once he realized Toni allegedly sold it behind his back, game over. She tried to smooth things over, but the trust was already gone. The engagement got scrapped. And not long after that, the whole relationship fell apart like a house of cards. Fast forward a few years, and now Toni's back. But folks are saying it's the same old money moves. Only this time, Birdman's not falling for the act. From the outside, it looks like he finally connected the dots, and he's done playing the fool. Think about it. A lost $5 million ring, 2 bankruptcies, and then that wild $160 million divorce demand after just 48 hours of marriage? It's giving full-blown setup. Birdman's eyes are wide open now, and he's not about to let history run it back on him. This whole situation, not looking good. It's messy, it's bold, and if the whispers are true, Toni might have been chasing the bag all along. Cold-blooded. Birdman might have been blinded by love in the beginning, but now, he's seeing everything crystal clear. He's calling it how it is. And even if he ain't shouting it from the rooftops, the message is loud. Toni might have fumbled the biggest bag of her life. Was she chasing the money all along? And now that the truth is leaking out, the real question is, how deep does this drama actually go? Is Birdman just being petty? Or is he finally ready to put the real Toni Braxton on blast for everyone to see? One thing's for sure, 2 things for certain. This story is nowhere near finished. So, stay tuned, because the tea is still brewing and the receipts are stacking up. If you want to keep up with the drama and all the juicy updates, don't forget to like, subscribe, and smash that bell so you don't miss what's coming next.